This is a short video on the difference between vector and raster charts. With the planned cessation of paper chart production by the United Kingdom Hydrographic Office in 2026 and in America NOAA in 2025, there's going to be a greater reliance on these types of electronic charts. Both raster and vector charts can be displayed on dedicated plotters that you'll find on board, PCs, tablets and smartphones. Here we'll be using an iPad to look at both types. First one we're going to look at is the vector chart, or an electronic chart. Here we're using Navionics, which is by far the most popular electronic chart in production. It should be said that electronic charts used in an electronic chart system, such as chart plotters or the device like the iPad here, are only an aid to navigation. And this is because the accuracy and information provided on the chart is not good enough to meet international standards that allows for the replacement of paper charts. And a disclaimer will warn us of this fact whenever we switch on a chart plotter. Looking at a vector chart here, we can see straight away that it is slightly different from a normal chart. The symbols used for buoys and other features are not the same as those used on their paper counterparts, but not discernibly so that you can't tell the difference. On the land, there are no markings for buildings other than spares and radio masts, and the colours are particular to the producer of the chart. All the information shown on a vector chart is either stored in memory card for a dedicated chart plotter they have on board our boat, or on the device storage drive, in this case of our iPad. However, because these charts take up a lot of space, your smartphone or tablet will only load the area you are looking at any one time, and will need access to the internet to get detailed information when we move. If we zoom out, you will see that we only have the information where the areas in white. The areas in grey are the ones where it won't have the detailed information. Now, this might be a bit of an issue if we are sailing and we don't have that access to the internet. So what we can do is we can actually download the chart for use for when it is when we're offline. And here you can see I'm just going to bring up the menu, bring up the download area, and I can download the area I require. It will hold that in memory, and then if we're sailing in that area, I won't have to have access to the internet. I'm just going to cancel this. Now, once we have this information, we can zoom in at our leisure. We'll head back to the Solent here and there dig a little deeper. Now, because all this information is held on the device, we have a good amount of interaction with these charts. For a start, we can alter the information that are displayed by changing the layers. So here we have the Solent. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more. And we're going to bring up the menu and have a look at some of the layers that we can interact with. And I'm going to go to the map options just here. At the minute, we have a nautical chart. So just as you would see on a normal chart layer. But on this one, I can actually bring up a sonar chart. And if I go a little bit deeper, it's going to give me a little bit more information, giving me more contours. Not very good for our navigation. This is more for use for fishing guys who can get that little bit of extra information as to where the fish may be. Okay. Zooming out a little bit more. This has got a few little features. I'll just go back to nautical charts. We can bring up a satellite picture. It takes a few seconds for it to load. Again, you need to have access to the internet to get a satellite picture. Or we can go to terrain there, so we can have a terrain picture. It's just loading in some more of that terrain. We can go a little bit deeper with our sonar charts. So now we've got some sonar shading charts, so it's just a little bit more detailed than the sonar chart itself. Or we can go to relief shading, where it just gives us an idea of the red areas or the shallower areas just there. So lots of interaction, lots of things with our layers. Some other layers we can change on this. Just going to scroll up. We can actually, I'll go back to the no shading just so we can go back to our charts. If I can change the water level. I normally keep this at 0. That's a chart datum, but I can come down and you can see I've gone down to minus 24 meters, and there's not many areas other than around here that are deeper than 24 meters when it comes to the Solent. So I'm just going to take that back to 0, just there. And that's what we're not. We can also take off some depth contours as well. If we find that there's too many depth contours there, we can actually get rid of some. And this is done just over here on this one here, and we can move the amount of depth contours, and we can actually get rid of them all. So you can see all the depth contours. Probably not so useful when we are in fairly navigationally constrained waters like the Solent, but if we were out in the English Channel, we might not want to show them because it just looks a bit too busy on the chart. And if I bring those back, you can see them all there. So there's lots and lots of different depth contours there. But in the Solent, we'd want to keep all those contours. I think as many, we might possibly get rid of a couple of them there. Okay. Now, again, we've got lots of information. A lot of these features are only available on the subscription version of Navionics here. Things like all the overlays up here, the changing the contours, they're not available on the non-subscription. Some of the features we've got. So we've got north up, which is where we would normally keep our chart plotter, where the top of the display here is the north. We can go to head up, and what that would be is that the front of the boat would be the top of the display. This may not move. As you can see, I'm on land at the moment in the office. And as so I'm now facing more northwest rather than north, and you can see that. Some people like this feature. I'm not keen on it, and it doesn't line up with a normal paper chart. So you're probably best off just keeping it on north up, so the top is always at the pointing north. Okay. We can display AIS, so I'll bring the AIS up here, so we can display the AIS. There's not a lot we can do here. What you need to do is you need to have an AIS receiver, a wireless AIS receiver on your boat, and then you pair the devices, and then it would feed that information. So this wouldn't just be able to work on a standalone iPad like this. You would have to pair it with an AIS receiver. Okay. Now, that's a lot of the functions that we can use on a vector chart like this. But the main thing really with our vector chart is we can interact with what's on the display here. So for a start, we can have a look at a little bit more information about various buoys. So we can zoom in a little bit. You can see as we zoom in, we can zoom as much as we like, and we don't get any pixelation or anything. But if I wanted to get a little bit more information on this buoy just here, I could click on it. It's going to give me a little crosshairs there. And then this time, if I just click on the question mark, it's given me some information. There's a depth contour of 12 meters, but this is the buoy that we're interested in. Let's have a quick look. It's Northeast Ride Middle. That's its name. It's a red buoy. It's flashing twice, red every 10 seconds. So it's given us that extra little bit of information about that buoy. The other thing we can tell, so if we just zoom out a little bit, if I come into this area, which is just off Portsmouth, you can see here, we've got a little bit of information just there, which says naval base exclusion, sea lower zooms. That's all it's saying, naval base exclusion. But if we zoom a little bit further in, we can now see that there's extra information there is there. So merchant vessels or other private vessels must not navigate within 50 meters of HM vessels, foreign warships or auxiliary vessels, which are alongside or at anchor. Exclusion zones may be activated by the harbour master. Oh, it says QHM there. That's now changed. It's now KHM after the death of the Queen, the King's harbour master. So lots of things we can interact with. Just a couple other things. Now this has got a very good feature here. As you can see, we have an arrow just there. Now this is tidal stream, so this is much the same as a tidal stream vector or a tidal vector on a chart. And if I click on that, tidal diamond, and I can get some information. Click on that again. get some information. Now it's telling us that the tide is heading in this direction at 1.1 knots, but I can also scroll along, move the bar along at the bottom to see what it's going to do over a certain amount of time. Yeah. So we can get a good idea as to what the tide is doing at any one time. So nice little addition in there. And as well, if we come up into Portsmouth Harbour, zoom in a little bit, notice another one just up here. This one is a tidal height. This one here. So if I click on that, that's basically telling me down here that the height of tide in Portsmouth at the moment is 3.71 meters. The red arrow pointing down means it's falling. And what I can do, again, I can scroll along the bottom and see what time. So low water is roughly 23:42. So I can get an idea. And as you see, as it moves up here, it'll go blue, meaning it's going up. Okay. So lots of little features there. Lots of little features. And that's mainly the big difference about with our, that's one of the main things about our the vector charts, that interaction we have with all the information on the chart. Now I think it's worth pointing out a little bit about ECDIS. I know I've explained about this in the course itself, what ECDIS sets are. That's electronic chart display and information systems. These are basically vector charts, but these are the vector charts that the big ships use. The ones that are ratified by the international maritime organizations, that are good enough to replace paper charts. But they're still vector charts. But the information on them is far more accurate, and it's been checked, and it's going to make sure that those vessels are kept safe at all times. The other thing that an ECDIS set must do is on these big ships, they must have two of them, and they must both be run off separate power supplies or separate generators should they lose one. And they must be updated at least weekly, and not just by the internet. Whoever produces the ECDIS vector charts always send out the CD-ROMs as well, just in case ships have updates that they've missed whilst they were at sea. With that being said, the Navionics charts here, they are updated weekly as well, but again, they don't have the accuracy of information to replace paper charts just yet. So that's a vector chart. What we'll do next is we'll have a look at the raster chart. So as we've just seen, the vector chart from Navionics, great electronic chart that we've got lots of interactions with. So here we're going to look at a raster chart. And this one is, again, on the iPad, and it is produced by a company called Imray, who are a great paper chart producer here in the UK. Now, a raster chart, unlike a vector chart, all a raster chart is a digital copy of a paper chart. That's all it is. There is nothing fancy about it. None of the data is held in memory. It's just basically a photograph of that paper chart. So I haven't got a subscription to this. This is only a demonstration chart, but you can have a look. So this is a chart of the Isle of Wight, and if I zoom in, nothing really changes. It just zooms in a little bit. There's nothing I can do with the chart. I can't. I'm going to click on some of the buoys and the bits to see. Getting absolutely nothing out of that. Here's a buoy no man's land fort. I can't interact with that. And all it is a chart. Now, just like paper charts, we have a paper chart, so we have a small scale chart, which is of a greater area. And if we want to go into another area, we have to get another chart out. This does exactly the same thing. Now you'll notice we have some boxes here. This one's C15, C3, C10. Again, these would be held in memory if I had the subscription. And as I zoomed further in, it would choose that chart from memory, and it would start displaying that. Just like you would take a small scale to a larger and a larger scale chart onto the chart table with your paper charts. So these are, a lot of people quite like these because they're very much like the charts that they're used to. sort of the halfway house between the paper charts and the new all singing, all dancing electronic charts. But what they've done is they've done a few things with them. So as you can see up here on this one, we've got our boat. Our boat is superimposed onto the chart itself. I can only zoom in so far because there's no other charts below it, and it was give us a heading mark as well. So it puts the boat on. We can also we could, if we had the subscription, maybe change some layers so we can add currents. So I can probably do this on this. So I can add some currents just like the last one and some tides, just like this. Just put that on. And as you can see on this one, we've got some arrows showing us the direction of the tide and some telling us the height of the tide. Now, the only reason I can do this is because I actually have the Imray Tide Planner app, which if I click on here now, it'll actually bring up the Tide Planner app, and now I can check the height of tide. So you need to have that separate app. I mean, this is a free app, so Imray Tide Planner is a free app. If you the subscription for a year's worth of data on tides is only £2.99 a year, which allows you up to 6 days worth of information. This one I haven't subscribed this year. I've haven't been out on the water much, so this one is just giving me a day's worth of data. I can't go beyond that. So it's worth it. It's a great app. Imray Tide Planner. It works really well, and you can actually. And the same as if I had the tidal streams, I can actually come a little bit. And if I bring that in a lot, zoom in, you can see it gives me tidal streams as well. And that's what the Imray chart plotter would do. So I'm just going to get rid of that, and we're going to go back to our wrong one. I go back to our Imray one just there. So we've got so we can superimpose some information on there as well. We can put some notes on there. I can't do that. We certainly have some tracks and some routes but we'll cover that routes in a different video. The other good thing about this, I like about this, is that we always get a latitude and longitude scale, or we can bring up the compass as well, which is quite a neat little feature on this. But other than that, guys, the actual raster chart is just a picture of a chart. They're not that popular. They can't be used in electronic display and information systems. They have to be vector charts. And the other thing as well, so NOAA, which is the National Oceanographic and Aerospace Administration in America, not only are they going to get rid of paper charts in January 2025, they're also not going to be producing raster charts anymore as well. So I think raster charts may die a death. I think Imray will keep doing them because even after the UKHO get rid of paper charts, Imray will still produce charts. They're great charts. If you've never seen them before, they're slightly different from the Imray charts in that if we have a look down here, the sea is blue, the sandy areas are yellow, and the land is green, and we have some absolutely fantastic colorings on lights, so it gives us a good indication as to where lights are. So they're really good charts. They make them in a small folio, and they're really good for small boats. Now, no matter what we have, whether it's an electronic used in our leisure chart plotters or on an iPad, the raster navigation charts, or the electronic navigation charts that ECDIS use, so there is a slight difference there. Electronic charts on Navionics, electronic navigation charts on ECDIS, which is the ones which are allowed to replace paper charts. They still need to be updated. Now, the raster navigation charts in Imray here, these are updated every 3 months. And the electronic charts, Navionics, as we mentioned earlier on, and the ECDIS, they're done weekly. With Navionics being updated via the internet, as well as ECDIS, but also ECDIS ones get produced on CD-ROMs as well. So hopefully that's been a little bit of it's been quite a quick run through of the differences between raster and vector charts, ones that you might find on a chart plotter on board or on an iPad like this or a mobile phone. They make them in a mobile phone. If you're interested in the subscription fees for the ones on iPad, they're $34.99. That's pounds per year for both of them. Although saying that the Imray one needs a few other apps for it to plug into for it to do what the Navionics one does as well. There's also another one, I think it's called Savvy Navi. Apparently that's very good, but that's a little bit more expensive, and that has route planning, so that might be worth having a check out if you're interested in these types of charts. Yeah, so that's our differences between raster and vector. The next video that you'll see in this course will be looking at waypoints, and we'll be looking at route planning a little bit, but we'll be working on the Navionics for that. Thanks for watching.